Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Can someone please tell me why the IRS has yet to investigate Meghan and Harry? So, allegedly, $3.5 million was raised last year for this charity SENTEBALE during this polo event in which Harry and Nachos had participated in. The Hargle's flying monkey, Scrappy Doo, goes ahead and tweets out that the organization raised around $3.5 million. That to me sounds like that was money that they generated from the event. So, my surprise when recently the annual report for SENTEBALE comes out, this is what I see. So, in the summary, talking about the financial report, it says during the year, SENTEBALE secured income of £3.13 million. So, if you do the conversion, that would equate to almost $3.5 million. So, nothing throwing me off here at this moment. But then it says of the total income in the financial year, £1.9 million was unrestricted. So those are funds coming from donations, events, fundraising activities, as opposed to restricted funds, which are funds that are given specifically by institutions. So like hospitals or partnerships, whether it be in Africa, but traditionally they are funds that are specifically designated to certain projects that are being worked in conjunction with these partnerships or institutions. So they must be spent there. They can't be used for anything else. The unrestricted funds traditionally are for salaries, for expenses, for the programs, for whatever that they think that they need the money for. So now I realize that 1.9 million, almost 2 million pounds, considered unrestricted funds, does not equate to the $3.5 million that was raised at the polo match, which those funds would be considered unrestricted. So as we look at the balance sheet, it clearly shows that events only brought in 1.145 million pounds. That is far less than what the publicity that Harry and his mouthpiece had been toting around. As a side note, SENTEBALE only held one fundraising event, and that was the polo event. So the reflection of the 1.145 million pounds reflects the money that was generated from the polo event. So the question is, where is the rest of the money? SENTEBALE seems to have an explanation of that as they dedicate and spotlight a page towards their fundraising activities. So on this page, they talk about the different institutions that give funding, which would be the restricted funds, and then you have the generous donors and the people who donate. But more importantly, they highlight the Duke of Sussex's donation to SENTEBALE. And it said, at the time of the Polo Cup, Prince Harry generously committed to donating 1.5 million US dollars to SENTEBALE, enabling us to continue operating at full scale and providing critical services to at-risk youth in Southern Africa. The donation has subsequently been received by SENTEBALE and will be included in next year's report and accounts. So according to this, it appears that Prince Harry gave his donation already to this organization. My question is, he committed this money from the profits of his memoir or the book that's about to come out. So how was he able to give this money if the book hasn't come out yet, nor have there been any kind of profits associated to it? What do you guys think? Do you think that this is one of those things where they're trying to mask that they didn't receive the money and maybe they're still waiting for it and then sort of hiding this amount in the report? I think only time will tell. Next year when this report comes out again, we will now have to compare it to this one to ensure that the committed money that they said they received after, and my assumption is that they received this money after the closing of the year. But I struggle with trying to understand why were they promoting that they raised this amount, clearly they hadn't. Or is there something fishy going on? Again, this calls for IRS investigation. So while we were on the subject of looking at the charity causes that this humanitarian couple support, I figured why not check and see if the Invictus Games released their financial statement from 2021. So let's keep in mind that this is not going to reflect this year's expenditure if they indeed paid Meghan and Harry for showing up and all their expenses. This is going to just highlight the year prior. So as I read through the annual report, a couple things stood out and they are worth noting. First off, their income. If you notice, the Royal Foundation had gave a generous donation of over £500,000 to the Invictus Foundation. I do recall that the Royal Foundation also gave money again this year, something which both Harry and Meghan failed to acknowledge or even be grateful for. But now here is where it gets interesting. If you look down at the last paragraph where it says sponsorship and program rights income through the trading subsidiary, it's almost, I want to say $500,000. It says sponsorship and program rights income included income recognized from the agreement to create the Netflix docuseries Heart of Invictus. Although the contract was signed in the year, 40% of the income has been recognized in 2021, with the remainder to be recognized in 2022. So I wanted to see what else have they said about this Netflix agreement. According to the annual report, it says in April, meaning of 2021, we signed an agreement with Netflix to produce a docuseries entitled Heart of Invictus. The series will follow a group of competitors on their road to the Invictus Games, The Hague, and their journey after the games to reveal the human stories and resilient spirit behind the Invictus Games. So it sounds like Netflix is contracted directly with Invictus Games, not through Harry and Meghan, but directly with this foundation. And it also appears that Netflix is the one who is compensating and supporting this organization. So now reading the Board of Trustees statement, it appears all very suspicious. So this paragraph says at the top, in early 2021, we partnered with Archwell Productions and Netflix to create the Heart of Invictus docuseries, which will follow the organizers and a group of competitors throughout their journey to the Invictus Games, The Hague 2020, and post-games to reveal the human stories and resilient spirit. All compensation from this series, which would otherwise be due to Archwell Productions and our patron, has been redirected to the Invictus Games Foundation, significantly enabling us to continue our work. Now, I find this very interesting that they had to put a statement in there on the compensation that was going to Archwell, considering there was a tremendous amount of blowback that the organization had received when word got out that Meghan and Harry were not giving the money that they were profiting from this docuseries to the organization. And the question is this actually true? Are they keeping this money? Or are they actually redirecting it to the Invictus Foundation? Which then also brings the other question. Netflix signed a deal directly with the Invictus Games, and they gave them money for it. What I am struggling to understand is what the hell did Netflix pay $100 million for if they had been supporting the Invictus and doing business with them separately? So none of this makes any sense to me. I think we're in a place where they're in jeopardy of losing out big time on this pseudo alleged $100 million deal. I mean, granted, they haven't received the money yet because they have not yet produced anything, which then brings up the next question. When is the Heart of Invictus coming out? And apparently, according to IMDb, it's slated to be released in 2022. But we don't seem to be talking about that. Is that because they're not going to be making any money from it? I think so. So now it goes back to this question. What did Netflix play $100 million for? They got rid of Pearl. They're having issues with this reality show that they want to pull back content. And now it appears that the heart of Invictus is not even directly in conjunction with this Netflix deal. So I don't know. That's what I have for you today, guys. I stumbled upon this and appears to be all smoke and mirrors. Don't know what is to come for these two, but to me, it doesn't seem like they have really anything. There's a reason why Netflix doesn't want to back out of their agreement and holding on to this docuseries or reality show that they have been gathering content. I truly believe that Netflix is going to get their pound of flesh. And I believe that they have content that is going to be salacious enough to air and gain back the money that they have lost in investing in these two. But let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button, and I will be back soon. Bye.
It was such a fraud.